In today's video, we're looking at Gustav Stresemann and the recovery of the Weimar Republic. This video covers a period from about 1924 until 1929. There are 3 essential questions that you need to be able to answer by the end of this video. The first, how does Stresemann solve the problems of hyperinflation, reparations, and Germany's foreign relations? The second, what are the effects of these solutions? And the third, although Stresemann's time in the Reichstag ushers in a period of recovery, there are still political problems in Germany. What were these problems? We are going to start by looking at who Gustav Stresemann was. President Ebert appointed Gustav Stresemann in August of 1923 as Chancellor and Foreign Secretary. He was appointed as the leader of a coalition government. He was seen as too far right-wing for socialists and too moderate for nationalists, so he didn't have a lot of support in the Reichstag and had a very tenuous hold on government. In November of 1923, Stresemann resigns as Chancellor but stayed on as Foreign Secretary. So although he was not Chancellor for very long, he continued to be involved in the making of many of the most important policies and political decisions of the time. In this video, we're going to look at 6 of these decisions. The next person I want to introduce you to is President Hindenberg. President Hindenberg was elected as president in 1925. He had been one of Germany's war leaders under the Kaiser and was a prominent critic of the Weimar Republic. And he really represented old Germany. In fact, he liked the Kaiser so much that he asked the ex-Kaiser for permission to assume the post of president when he was elected. And this just shows how weak the support for the Republic was amongst the German electorate. They just elected somebody who preferred the old Germany prior to democracy and the Weimar Republic. So let's get back to Stresemann's solution to Germany's problems. As I said, there are 6 of them spanning 1923 to 1929, and they're color-coded. If the problem is hyperinflation, it's hot pink. If the problem is reparations, it's purple. And if the problem is Germany as an outcast on the international scene, they are color-coded in a greeny blue. So problem 1, hyperinflation, which is what we looked at in our last video. Stresemann's solution to hyperinflation was the Rentenmark. Basically, what happened was he called off passive resistance in the Ruhr, he called in all the worthless marks and burnt them. He then replaced the mark with a new temporary currency called the Rentenmark. People trusted the Rentenmark because if it failed, the government promised to exchange it for shares in German land or industry, so it was guaranteed. And then, by August 1924, he replaced the Rentenmark with the Reichsmark, which was the new permanent currency of Germany, and the newly created Reichsbank controlled it. Confidence in this new currency increased, and this was very good for the country's economy. The next problem faced by Stresemann was the reparation payments that Germany had stopped paying. And his first solution for this was to negotiate the Dawes Plan. This plan was named after a man called Charles Dawes, who was actually awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his plan. The plan was created in April of 1924 and basically reduced the annual payments that Germany had to make to an affordable amount and had the USA invest 800 million marks in German industry. The effects of this were that Germany resumed reparation payments, France left the Ruhr region, and Germany's economy began to recover. However, although most Germans were happy with this, extreme political parties like the Nazis hated the Treaty of Versailles and were really angry that Germany was still paying for all these reparations. Furthermore, the plan made the German economy dependent upon U.S. loans. So, if anything happened to the USA or to the U.S.'s economy, and hint, hint, it will in 1929, Germany would be in big trouble. The next problem we're going to look at is the fact that Germany had become an outcast on the international scene. Basically, other countries didn't like working with Germany, and Stresemann's first solution was called the Locarno Pact in October of 1925. The most important thing about this pact was that Germany agreed to keep its new 1919 borders with France and Belgium. But the Locarno Pact did not discuss Germany's eastern borders, which was where most of the territory disputes actually were. The effects of this pact were that the Allies removed their troops from the Rhineland, and they agreed to discuss Germany's entry into the League of Nations. Furthermore, Germany was treated as an equal and felt as if it was not just being dictated to. So, you can see that Stresemann was starting to improve Germany's international profile. And in fact, Stresemann was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work on the Locarno Pact. The cartoon shows you the foreign ministers of France, Britain, and Germany shaking hands, although France has his hand behind his back, with a boxing glove on, ready to give Germany a knockout punch if necessary. We're going to stick with this problem that Germany had become an outcast on the international scene. And Stresemann's second solution to this problem was joining the League of Nations in September of 1926. So Germany was now allowed to join the League of Nations, and it was even given a seat on the League's council, which demonstrates that Germany was becoming more trusted and was beginning to be treated as an equal. So Germany was quite happy about this, and this image shows Germany's first day in the League of Nations. And continuing to stick with this problem, the third solution to it was the Kellogg-Briand Pact of 1928. In this pact, different nations agreed not to use war to achieve their foreign policy aims, and the effect, again, was that Germany was seen as a respectable member of the international community. Stresemann was really improving Germany's international image. And then Stresemann goes back to the reparations problem, and his second solution was the Young Plan in 1929. The plan was basically to cut reparations from £6.6 billion to £2 billion, and Germany got an extra 59 years to pay back the reparations. The effects were, it strengthened the Weimar Republic's economy, made the Republic look a lot stronger, and it showed that people were beginning to trust the Weimar government again. However, there are still problems, and they were that the reparations were still around £50 million a year, and they were being paid up until 1988. So people like Hitler and the Nazi Party felt that this was actually pushing the burden of the war onto the young people of Germany, and the people who had nothing to do with the war at all. It was punishing the young for the problems of the old. However, the Weimar Republic finally looked like it was on the path to recovery. However, unfortunately, these positives were not to last. On October 3, 1929, Stresemann passed away from a heart attack, and then on October 29, 1929, the Wall Street crash plunged the whole world into economic chaos, with the start of the Great Depression. We will be returning to the Wall Street crash in the future. And that is basically Gustav Stresemann and the recovery of the Weimar Republic. Our next video will look at the culture of the Weimar Republic. Thanks for watching!